Peace. This is Brother Hatim. I'm coming at you right now with something from the Gye-Nyame journey. Um, One of the things that I'm working on now is laying out some of the lessons of Gye-Nyame for those on the journey. Um, some of the materials that you can use that are available to you. Of course, all the books is the Lost Art of Storytelling. Lost Art of Storytelling by Hatem Gye-Nyame. Here's the Player's Pyramid. Whoa, okay, there we go, right there. Uh-huh. And here's, of course, Gye-Nyame Journey Workbook, Tribal Quotes. So, now, one of the things that I wanted to cover today, real short, is the three levels of learning. Now, I was inspired by this because I've been listening to some other people who were into self mastery, as I call it, or self development. And one of the things that I learned today was that in ancient Greece they had a system called Kyria, and Kyria was basically how they educated the young people, and they would give the young people maxims and proverbs, very similar to the methods that we use in Gye-Nyame. And in Gye-Nyame, we talk about the three levels of learning. The three levels of learning are very simple, but are complex, and is really one of the first steps that an individual got to understand when they're coming in working with this system. Gye-Nyame, we work with three levels of learning, and the first level is intelligent of, well, actually is memorization. Now, and this is what they called in Greece Kyrio, basically where the new person is required to memorize and have all the proper responses to um, about 36 questions. And you answer these questions verbatim, and you repeat them, and you memorize them. And as I often say, memorization is, for me, the lowest level of learning. Now, some people might really respect that, but or be upset about that because they have good memories and they're used to basically uh, being able to spat things or spit things out of their memory with ease. But memorization is one of the lowest levels of learning, I feel. Um, a dog can memorize, my dog remembers what point means. My dog remember what roll over means. My dog remember what come here means. But it doesn't really mean that he grasps the concept. He knows the action. He knows exactly how to respond to the action. But he only got to memorize. A pig can memorize. They can say words. A monkey can memorize. They can memorize your actions. They can even memorize the alphabet. Um, Memorization is basically a tool that can be used to get you to another level, or at least it's supposed to be used. Unfortunately, memorization is highly valued in the system of education that we have. Is more about, especially in the younger ages, is more about memorizing facts. And as we look at some of these shows, these game shows, is about being able to memorize facts almost verbatim so that you can recite the answer so that you can win the prize. So memorization is really respected right now. But memorization is just the foundation, it's the basis, it's the lowest level of learning. So from there, in Gye-Nyame, we move to what's called intelligence of the mind. Being able not only to recite the information that you received, but moving beyond just being able to recite it. Um, as a full-grown adult man or woman, as a warrior, you need to be able to do more with the information than just regurgitate it. You need to be able to make it yours. You need to be able to expand on it. You need to be able to teach it. You need to be able to use it. You need to be able to move towards living the information. So now at this level, in the ranking system and in the development system that we have, an individual needs to be able to act upon what he has memorized. He needs to be able to articulate what he has memorized, but not just verbatim. He needs to bring it to life. He needs to possess it, or she needs to possess the information and be able to structure a lesson, share this information, and really start looking for ways to use it, and to be able to argue some of the information, argue for it or against it, because just because we have you memorize it doesn't mean that the information is correct. Gye-Nyame is a living organization. Many people don't really understand this. They want something stagnant. They want something that's supposedly quote unquote always gonna be there. But Gye-Nyame, like everything in life goes through changes. And Gye-Nyame, as we know it, has been through many changes in his lifetime. It has several different names. It has several different levels. You have individuals who were with us under a different name when we just had 7 questions. And the 7 questions expanded to 14 questions, and the name changed, and then it went to 30 questions, and the name changed, and then it went to 36 questions, and the name changed. So it's not necessarily what it's called, it's the process that is the most important. And an individual needs to be able to add to that process. And the only way you can add to it is not just by memorizing it, but by being able to transform it, being able to make it your own, being able to digest the information and let it become part of you. Now, the ultimate and the highest level of learning for Gye-Nyame is intelligence of the heart. We call it intelligence of the heart because it becomes part of you. It's like your heartbeat, and you are able to um, basically live the information. So, when we look at this, basically what you have is a process that starts you out as an initiate or a student or apprentice, and then it moves you from the student to a student teacher, where now you're someone who studies and teaches. Then it moves you to the teacher that studies, or the teacher student phase, which is in a sense the ultimate phase, because even when you become a teacher, you always have things to learn, and then you are able to contribute to the body of knowledge that we're trying to build. Now, the books that I have are just a foundation. Um, I'm looking for individuals that are going to be willing to blog and to also start adding to the information. Because, like I said, Gye-Nyame is a dynamic organization. Gye-Nyame is an emerging organization, and I don't know where it's going to be 10 years from now. I don't know where it's going to be 2 years from now. But it never stops. I never stop learning. I never stop sharing the information I have. As a matter of fact, I had an experience which kind of inspired me to sit down and start doing these quick videos. Uh, I recently took a group of brothers to the Valley of the Kings and Queens, because that's the actual name. But a lot of brothers just call it the Valley of the Kings because no sisters been there in a while. But anyway, um, I observed the ritual, and one of the younger brothers, well, actually he's becoming older now, but he's been around with us for about 5 years. He led them through the whole ritual. He was able to um, show the shortcuts in the woods, and he even added a shortcut. He been experimenting and got us into the woods. And at first I was like, man, I ain't trying to get because you know you get kind of turned around in some of these woods, even though a lot of them are close to the city, but you still get turned around and be wandering around those woods for about an hour or so in the cold. Well, anyway, he found a shortcut. He took it. He found a path. He followed the path. He made it to all of the designated stops. He did all of the rituals. He led them to the overlook, had them go through the whole process, then took them down into the Valley of the Kings. And I just stayed up and I watched them from a distance and handled everything. So I know that um, what we are doing works. And I know that once people really start investing themselves in the process, see, because the name is not important. The buildings are not important. The meeting locations is not important. The meetings are not important. They're useful, but the most important thing is the process. Process. And the very first process that we start making sure that everybody learns, because it's not even in the questions, are the three levels of learning. You know what I'm saying? Are you applying yourself in these three levels of learning? Um, no matter how old you are, you got to come in. You got to know these questions. You got to start learning these questions, and then as time goes on, you're gonna be less required to know to be able to recite the questions to get to a point where you are able to educate on the questions and go beyond the questions and eventually add to the questions. So this has been Brother Hatim. I'd like to thank you. Feel free to hit me up on www.gyenamejourney.com. If you have any questions, be sure to check out the radio station on Spreaker. And I'd like to thank you for your time and your patience in joining me. And with that, I say peace.